Slipping and falling on government property, is the government liable? A government entity may be found liable for your injuries if you have slipped and fallen on government property. If it is found that the government had been negligent in maintaining and upkeeping the governmental property, then they could be found liable. However, there are a few limitations on your right to sue a local, federal, or state governmental entity. Here's why. The federal government in most parts of the United States place a limit on the amount of money that you can receive from a municipality or a state. In most states, there is a statute of limitations, a deadline, when it comes to giving notice of your claim, and taking it to court. If your accident was due to negligence. If it is found that your accident and injury were due to negligence, the governmental entity will only be found liable if a governmental employee was negligent or a government entity was negligent and the negligence caused the accident and your subsequent injury. If you simply fell on property that is owned by the government, it does not automatically mean that the government is liable, especially if the government or an employee was not negligent. If you wish to prove that the employee or entity acted negligently, you will need to show proof that they knew or should have known about the unsafe condition. Notice deadlines. In almost every state there are rules that must be adhered to if you would like to file a lawsuit or a claim against a governmental entity or employee. Firstly, you will need to file a notice of injury with the correct governmental entity. Please be aware that different states may have different requirements when it comes to filing a notice. Before you file a notice, you will need to make sure that you know who you need to file it with. Once you have the correct information, the notice should include your name and address, the date and, if possible, the time of your injury, a summary detailing precisely how your injury occurred, a statement that includes a claim that you consider the governmental entity to be negligent, an allegation that includes details about how the negligence led to your injury, a complete description of all your injuries, a description of your financial losses, such as your loss of earnings and medical bills, to date. The deadline for your notice may be 28 to 30 days from the date of your accident, but this will depend on which governmental entity you would like to sue. Sending notice to the correct governmental entity. You will have to make sure you file your claim against the correct governmental entity. For example, if you were injured on a sidewalk outside of a government building, the entity who may be found liable is not always clear. Some state laws hold the state highway department responsible for a slip and fall on a sidewalk. If this is the case, the state highway department rather than the municipality may be responsible for maintaining the sidewalk. If you fail to send your claim to the state highway department in time, your claim could be barred. If you slipped and fell on the floor in the offices of a government property, it may be a little easier to determine who is liable, but you should always make sure you contact the right entity. More than likely you will be required to contact the administrative department or offices of the appropriate municipality. However, finding out who the appropriate municipality is can be easier said than done. Contact as many administrative departments or offices as you can to determine who may be liable. It is recommended that you call the departments or offices, as waiting for a reply in the mail can take too long. You need to find out who you should send a notice to and where you need to send it. If you are unsure as to where you need to send the notice, you may want to think about contacting a personal injury lawyer, as they may be able to help. How much can you recover in damages? The amount of money that you can recover in damages will depend on the governmental entity that you are suing. However, the amount you can recover may be less than $100,000. This means that even if you have been badly injured, you may still receive less money than you would if a business was found liable for your injury. Proving liability for your accident. In order to prove liability in your slip and fall case, you will need to take photographs of your injuries, the clothes you were wearing, and the scene of the accident. A photograph can be hugely valuable in a slip and fall case, as it can detail what happened, what caused the accident, and if negligence was involved. If, for example, you slipped on a broken floor tile and failed to take a photograph of it, by the time you take the case to court, the tile could have been mended. While the mended tile may show signs of repair, there will be very little or no evidence to prove that it caused you to fall, and you're unlikely to win. Report your accident immediately. It is vital that you report your accident immediately to someone working at the governmental department or property, and preferably someone in charge. Reporting the accident is likely to result in a written report, that should also include the names of any witnesses. If you fail to report the accident, your claim is unlikely to be successful. This is because juries and governmental organizations tend to view claims that go unreported as if they never occurred. Report your accident as soon as possible, take photographs of the scene, clothing, and injuries, and contact the right governmental department, and your claim is more likely to be successful. Please do not forget to consult a personal injury lawyer, as they can guide you through the entire process, and help you to get the most out of your claim.